And we have our first guest actually on the line right now. We are going to be talking to the voice of the Minnesota Twins, Cory Provus. What's up, Cory?
Hey, guys. How are you?
We are good, my friend. How is everything going on over there in Minnesota with the COVID-19 with you and your family?
You know, we're doing okay. You know, my wife and my two young kids, we're making the best of it. I'm lucky that I'm married to a teacher. So in terms of schooling, she's crushing this with the kids. And, you know, my wife and I talk about this every night, that we've never spent this amount of time together this continuously before. I just never had, you know, including spring training, I've never had, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever it's been now, where I've been around for everything. And we've seen each other every single day because it's been, work and travel with baseball and off-season work that I do. So I've never had this time with them. So we're really making the most of it. There aren't many silver linings with this pandemic, but just the family time that I'm getting right now is certainly a bonus.
Well, let's get into some Minnesota Twins conversation. With the addition of Maeda, do you think this pitching staff is among the league's best right now?
It's better. I mean, there's no doubt it's better. I mean, if I go back to the postseason series last year, I mean, the Twins were short on pitching. I mean, they felt going into that Yankees series that they could match up offensively. Bullpen probably not as much, but they certainly had, they were down in terms of pitching. Michael Pineda's suspension really crushed the outlook of that staff. I mean, if Pineda's not suspended, and then he goes in game 2, or maybe Odorizzi goes in game 2, and the opposite goes in game 3. Who knows how that plays out? But it was asking a lot for Randy Dobnak out there to start game 2 of that series. But, they really like their system. They like the guys that they have in their system. That there may not be a 1 or 2 right now, but they feel like, there's some good 3, 4, and 5 guys they have internally. And I think with Maeda, what they love was that, his contract, very team-friendly, but just look at his postseason experience. He's just not a guy that anybody would expect to be scared or nervous in any postseason spot. He's pitched in some really big games. And if you look at the roster the Twins had last year, from a pitching standpoint, there weren't many guys that you could say that about.
Cory, you mentioned Maeda, but they're also signed a lot of other guys, a lot of guys that are both starters and relievers, Homer Bailey and Rich Hill, another guy from the Dodgers with a big postseason experience. What do you think, performance-wise, you should expect from them, and also the roles they'll play on that team?
Well, Rich Hill, I mean, he wasn't going to debut until June. Now, that was the plan. He was coming off elbow surgery, so they thought no reason to rush him back, but they thought by June, July, that he'd be good to go. Homer Bailey was kind of brought in to be the back-end starter, be that number 4, number 5. Pineda was going to serve his suspension. He had to finish that up, and had we started on time and played, he would have been eligible to pitch again in May. So they just wanted to throw. There was some no-risk moves out there to make, and the Twins have gone down that road a lot here the last 2 or 3 years, where they've signed veterans to maybe 1-year deals. They haven't gone to like 2, 3, 4-year deals with too many guys. They've really kept it to 1-year deals. So for now, it looks like a great move. If it doesn't, then you know what? There's no real risk because there's no long-term connection. But I thought they had a great off season. I think the goal was to get a frontline starting pitcher, but they were going to get Garrett Cole. How much they inquired about Bumgarner, we really don't know. They made a run at Wheeler, but, family ties kept them on the East Coast. We can't debate that. But then they went to some other options, and they went to some of those 1-year, low-risk moves to maybe buy some time until maybe some of the young guys were ready to throw in some meaningful games this summer.
We are talking to the voice of the Minnesota Twins, Cory Provus. Cory, do you believe the thought of the juice balls last season gave the Minnesota Twins that edge to break the Yankees single-season record last year?
I'm sorry, you cut out there. The start of the question was what?
Oh, do you believe the thought of the juice balls last season gave Minnesota the edge to break the Yankees single-season home run record?
No, I think it was fair game for everybody. I think the ball was certainly off. I think that, the ball was different, and I think hitters took advantage, and I think you saw I had the number in spring training, but I don't have it now. But there were so many teams that broke their own single-season home run record. I forgot what it was. It was a handful of teams that just broke their own, single-season record.
I think it was
Many of them
7.
did it by plenty.
I think it was 7.
So, was it 7? Okay. So so there's 7 teams that did that, which is saying something. The ball was just not right. It was something was off with it. And I was asking some of the pitchers in spring training if they felt like was the ball any different, and many of them said no. So I was surprised by that because I thought that MLB was going to look at the ball. And remember, MLB owns Rawlings, but I thought they were going to look at the ball and maybe make some modifications. But perhaps that was going to be more regular season than spring training. But I think everybody, if you had some hitters, I think everybody took advantage of the ball last year, and I think we saw that with the offense throughout the game.
Staying with that home run record, they hit 307 last season, including 5 with 30 or more. Do you think that record for the Twins is currently safe, or do you think it could be at risk again with home runs progressively going up each season?
Yeah, I mean, I don't unless we find out early on, that the ball is different. I think that's a record that maybe will not last too long. I mean, if the Yankees, get everybody healthy, and they have Stan, they have Judge, they have all those guys ready to go. I mean, they certainly could do it, and they're not alone. I mean, the Twins added some thump too with Josh Donaldson, but that's what I was kind of curious to see early on in the first month or so of the season. Had started that time, the home run pace. Would it be comparable to 2019? Would we get any kind of idea? Okay, the pace has gone down. Then I think we would have seen more written and studied about the ball, and then it would have been fascinating to hear about, what the hitters, but more the pitchers, or how they just feel. Do they get a sense that something does feel differently when they grip the baseball as opposed to the prior season?
Cory, I read a lot of baseball magazines, and one of the magazines I read is called the Ballpark Digest, and they rate Minnesota's farm system 22nd in the league. Do you feel they are wrong, or are they right?
I think that's high. I haven't seen it like that in a long time. Now, remember, the Twins in 2000, probably 14, 15, maybe 13, they were top 3, top 5. And a lot of those guys graduated. That's, Buxton and Barrios and Rosario and Kepler and Sano. Those are some of their key guys. A lot of the Twins' top prospects were either hurt last year or just didn't have a good year. So I think with that, their national outlook maybe dropped a little bit. But Alex Kirilloff, go back and look at his numbers in 2018. I mean, he was one of the best hitters in minor league baseball, but he had a wrist injury last year that kept him out. It was really bothering him. It was one that he tried to play through and didn't work out, so his numbers didn't get. He still was all right. Royce Lewis, another guy that was coming off an injury. He had no quick injury early in camp. Never saw him in spring training at 19, so his season didn't go very well. But then he won the Fall League MVP, in the fall after the season. So they have some really good guys. I have not seen that. Those guys know what they're doing. Those men and women that study the minor leagues, they know what they're talking about. But I've not seen, the Twins viewed that high. I think they still have a top 10, top 12 farm system of the game right now.
We are talking to the voice of the Minnesota Twins, Cory Provus. Cory, with the Twins' problems against the Yankees in the playoffs, do you think this year would be different if they meet in the playoffs?
I would hope they wouldn't be scared to do it. I would hope that they wouldn't be like, oh, we don't want to go there again, because look, I love going there. I mean, I love going there for a playoff game. I mean, it's amazing. It's loud. It's raucous. It's fantastic. I think it's a great atmosphere. And yeah, it's hard to win there. The fans are intense and they're into it. But I loved it. I wanted the Twins to win, but man, it was so great to be there for that moment. And even in 17, for the wild card game, growing up and watching Yankee games on TV, and I'm from Chicago, but just watching the Yankees on TV, and you'd often see that big hit, and you just watching it, you'd see the stadium shake, right? It just looked like it was moving. Watching it on TV, and then in 17 of the wild card game, when Didi Gregorius hit the game-tying home run of Irvin Santana early in that game, I felt it. I got to see the Yankee Stadium shake that I remember watching on TV when I was younger. So I think the Twins, if they get that chance, they would welcome that chance. I think Barrios would love to pitch on that stage again. I think the offense would love to pitch on that stage again, or to bat on that stage again. Yeah, I would think that the the young bullpen guys that were out there for the very first time. I think Rogers and Duffy and May and Stashak, they would love that chance to make amends if they get that opportunity.
In addition to Twins broadcasting, you've also done some college basketball in your career as well, particularly with the Big Ten Network. And Big Ten had a big year for college basketball this year. Analysts were talking about maybe 8 or 9 teams in the tournament. Obviously, that didn't happen. Do you think that kind of success is sustainable for the whole conference as a whole next year?
It's so hard because it's so prevalent to see, guys leave after 1 year. So I think that stuff is always, it can always change. And, a lot of the big hitters are deferring for the draft. Now, some are signing with agents, some are not. Luka Garza, maybe the best player in the country last year, forget the Big Ten. That's a guy that with Iowa that declared for the draft, but he's not ruling out coming back. That'd be great for the conference. But, Minnesota here in town, Daniel Oturu was an amazing player. He declared for the draft. He's probably a first-round pick. So some elite talent that the Big Ten had last year. Of course, Cassius Winston, he graduated. I think Jalen Smith with Maryland declared for the draft. So some of the top elite talent in the Big Ten is not going to return. The majority of them will probably, keep their hopes and dreams of playing professionally going. So it's hard to say what it's going to look like. I think there's going to be some really good teams coming back. Illinois, there were teams this year that I just thought it was going to be a great story to see Rutgers see in the tournament for the first time since, 91. Illinois with that team. I think Illinois was a sleepy, good tournament team that could make a run. I just think that the parity in the Big Ten, there have been some years where, there's some top-heavy dogs. There's some top-notch heavyweight, the top 2 teams, whether it's Wisconsin, Michigan State, and they're better than everybody else, but not last year. That was a year where, if the bracket, came out and say that the Big Ten had 9 or 10 teams, there would probably be a lot of the good Big Ten teams that probably would have gone as like 7, 8, or 9 seeds just based on, their record and based on other teams getting in. But they were, to me, 7, 8, 9, 10 seeds that could probably make a run and knock off some 1s and some 2 seeds early on in the tournament. They were just that good. I think Maryland was an awesome team last year. So it really would have been great to see the Big Ten show off. It's just class and the talent that they had throughout the year if we got a chance to see March Madness.